since watercolor is transparent, as you can see, where I put down that dark shadow earlier makes it look like a shadow, and then on the part of the building that is light, I got this nice sort of orange color where the sunlight's hitting. Okay, so we get that shape in. And then I'm going to hit these red roofs up here. The roofs up on top of this building are kind of a dull red. They look like, you know, these, I think they may even be some of the same shingles. These buildings were probably built in the 20s or 30s. And so there's a sort of a dull red color to these aged buildings. So I mix a little bit of red, orange, touch of burnt sienna in there, just anything to give me kind of this dull reddish color. Okay, so I can start to lay these in. Get a smaller brush because they are pretty small. So here's where using the right brush is essential. So I'm using like a number 1 or a number 2 brush for these detail marks here. This just helps me get this in with the right amount of color. So what you'll find is that, you know, as you build your kits for painting, you will buy brushes as you need them. That's kind of how I did it. As you're working on a painting, all of a sudden you go, oh man, I don't have a brush that can do that. So you toddle on down to the art store and you say, what do I need for that? Or you find the brush. In this case, this is a number 2. This is a Cotman brush, which is a Winsor Newton brush. It's just a little lesser grade. Cotman is Winsor Newton's sort of student grade. But for small brushes, I don't need, you know, a really expensive sable brush because I don't need to carry a lot of fluid. So I can, as long as it comes to a decent point, I can get these shapes in with this brush. It's good enough. And there's a shadow that creeps across that roof. So I'm getting that in. Good. And they've got this chimney up here that's doing the same thing. And then up on top we have this roof here. And a chimney. So that goes in there. And then there's a section of the roof here, but it's completely in shadow. So I'm going to mix up a little alizarin crimson, a little of this red here, and darken it down with some of this blue. So the roof that's in shadow, rather than reading red, it almost reads like a really dark purple. So we're getting that section in here like this. And that's simply the red that's in shadow. Show a little bit of the red so it relates, but just a section of this roof right here that connects up there. Okay, so now you start to see the structure of the houses and some of those shadow shapes that are up there. We are getting a little bit of a dark edge here where the front of the roof is in shadow and it has a little bit of a thickness. That's good, that's good. Okay, get that chimney on the other roof. So this must be interesting, all you folks watching paint dry here, but this is the process, you know, just see what's happening and illustrate it to the best of your ability. Okay, this roof needs to be hit, and that's sort of a Same thing, it's that red roof over there. And it's a little different color than the face of the building, so I'm going to get this on here. This little brush helps me catch the sharp edges without carrying a lot of paint. So I don't, since it's such a small shape, I don't want to, some of my bigger brushes have, you know, really sharp points on there, but I don't want to use those because they carry so much paint that even though you can put it down there, you can flood the shape a little bit because there's too much paint, pure and simple. Okay, so we got that. That's good. Okay. So far so good there. Now I can come back in, and while those are drying, I can come in and hit these windows. And these windows are kind of a blue-gray shapes back there. They reflect a little bit of the sky, but they're a blue-gray sort of shape. So I'm going to just lay those in again with my small brush. Good to have a paper towel nearby so you can, what paper towels are really good for is not only cleaning up your mess, but it's really good to help you govern the charge that's in your brush. So I can fill this brush up, as you can see, with color, but in a couple of these instances where I went into paint, there was too much paint in my brush. So simply by having my paper towel here, I can draw out the excess color so I don't oversaturate the shape. Even though this is a pretty small brush, it's important that I get the right amount of pigment in there and that the brush has the right amount of pigment in it. This helps. Yeah, you're just preventing an error, that's all. All right, getting all these are details, but this will pretty much finish up the houses up here in the lighthouse. So I may have a little touch up later, but that's later. Definitely an exercise in concentration.